When I was a boy, my tutor Blossius made me read every line of Euripides. Only a few lines from the Bacchae stayed with me. The gods have many guises. They bring crises to a climax, while man only surmises. The end expected is never the end reached, but the gods find a way for what no man saw coming. Well, my friends, the play is just beginning. 9 years ago, when my brother Tiberius was murdered, who among us could have foreseen this day?
Gaius paused. 1, 2, 3. He counted to 10 in his head, a technique Tiberius had taught him.
Stop now and then, little brother. Let them breathe.
He wasn't in the forum today, but in the lamplit garden of his mother's house. This was a victory celebration for the newly elected tribune of the plebs.
Perhaps my mother foresaw it.
He nodded to Cornelia, reclining nearby.
She exhorted me to live up to my grandfather, Africanus, but it is her own fortitude that inspires me. Join me in saluting her, Cornelia, mother of the people's martyr.
Cornelia beamed, playing the part of the proud mother she had performed throughout the campaign. The crowds had been unlike anything seen before. Men had slept in trees and on rooftops just to vote for a man promised to finish his brother's work.
And let us not forget my dear friend Quintus Sempronius. He represents a new force in Rome, the equestrians, men of means who have built this city with their own hands. Quintus is a builder, a father, and my trusted confidant. Salute him.
Quintus blushed. The world knew Gaius's story, the trauma, the exile, the return. But no one knew the shame that gnawed at Quintus. He had been close to Tiberius, but in the end he had been too afraid to stand by him. He had found wealth in the years since, but no peace. Supporting Gaius was his only shot at redemption.
I see the virtuous Sempronia Hilaria, who raised Quintus and my lovely wife Licinia. I thank you both for keeping my mother company while I was out buying wine for the voters.
But Gaius, did you have to buy a round every night in every tavern in Rome?
That got a couple of laughs from the assembled crowd.
My friends, you've heard my pledges as a candidate. Now hear them from your tribune. The state shall clothe its soldiers, not the men themselves. No boy under 17 shall be forced to serve. We will build new colonies for our veterans. We will stabilize the price of grain. If the state cannot make food affordable, what is the state for? We will break the Senate's monopoly on the courts. 300 equestrians shall sit as judges alongside them. Let the Senate keep their dignity. We will take their power.
What about land reform?
My brother died for land reform. His murderers only enacted it themselves to stop a revolution. They are vipers who steal the fruit and claim they planted the tree.
Gaius's voice turned shrill. Behind him, a servant named Licinius blew a low, calming note on a pipe. Gaius relaxed instantly.
Licinius is my wife's freedman. He keeps my temper in check, an orator's trick. Now, the capstone, full citizenship for all our Italian allies. Give them the vote, and Rome will find its golden age. I pray that in this election, Rome has finally found its Pericles.
Quintus drew a sharp breath. This was more than Tiberius ever dreamed of. It was exhilarating and terrifying.
People ask if I fear my brother's fate. I tell them I had a dream. Tiberius called to me. He said,
Brother, why do you tarry? One life and one death is appointed for us both. Spend the one and meet the other in the service of the people.
The guests were in tears. Later, in a quiet corner, the family gathered.
You are a finer orator than your brother was, Gaius.
But that dream, my son, to speak so lightly of your own death gives me a shiver.
It's a great story, Mother, and it's true. Besides, I am a patriot. How else can I die, except in the service of Rome?
Such cynicism. Don't speak in that manner.
She was relieved by his glibness. Quintus, too, hoped that Gaius's cynicism was the shield that would keep him alive.
Where is everyone?
Quintus was pacing around the atrium of Gaius's new house. It was a ramshackle place in the Subura, the slums. Gaius had moved here to be among the poor. Quintus didn't care for the place, but was happy to be out of the rain.
They'll be back.
He had just returned from Africa, where he had attempted to found the colony of Junonia on the ruins of Carthage.
How was the foundation ceremony?
Bad. The wind blew away the sacrifices. The priest said they heard Hannibal laughing. What have you heard?
Rumours that wolves dug up the boundary stones.
A lie from the Senate. But enough of that. What happened in Rome while I was away?
I saw the Senator Piso Frugi standing in the grain line with a voucher. The man who fought your subsidy the hardest. I asked him how he dared take the grain. He said if you were going to pilfer the treasury, he'd take his share back as a matter of principle.
Unbelievable. The men who argue against public benefits are always the first in line to receive them. But what of Livius Drusus?
He has been relentless. He is out Gracchusing you. He tells the mob they'll lose their seats at the theatre if the Italians get the vote. He proposes colonies even more radical than yours, but with no rent. The Senate supports him because he is their puppet, a way to steal your supporters.
In my first year, nothing could go wrong. In my second, nothing goes right. I can only hope for a third term.
A third term? Gaius, the Senate will never allow it.
The people will demand it.
Quintus doubted it, but he remained silent. Gaius paced the garden of his house in the Subura, circling the peristyle like a caged animal. Since failing to win a third term as tribune in 122, his position had grown increasingly precarious.
They'll goad me to violence if they can. That's the trap. Corner me, dishonor me, drive me to desperation until I strike back. Then they can butcher me and claim they did it for the sake of Rome. The election was a farce, rife with illegalities.
This is old ground, Gaius. We've covered it many times before. The past can't be undone.
Quintus leaned against a column, still and watchful. He was a man of business, a builder who understood that once a foundation cracks, the structure follows. He watched Gaius with a growing sense of dread.
I admit it was a mistake. When I ordered my supporters to demolish the wooden seats for that gladiator match, but a paid seating area for the rich obscures the view of the poor. If the state provides the games, the people must see them.
But you resorted to violence, Gaius. You played into their hands. Now they call you a dangerous rabble-rouser, a violent demagogue.
Now that Gaius was out of office, the Senate was systematically erasing his life's work. Today, they were to debate revoking the charter for Junonia, the colony that was to be built on the ruins of Carthage. That was to be Gaius's most enduring monument.
Is it true what they say about Cornelia's charity? That she brought reapers from the countryside into Rome to look for work?
Everyone knows that. The reapers provide cheap labor.
Some say the programme is a pretext, a way to swell the number of your loyalists in the city, just in case of the violence both sides are preparing for.
Quintus looked over his shoulder. Some of the reapers were in Gaius's house at that very moment, milling about, restless, armed with staves and sharpened scythes.
You never share your plans with me anymore, Gaius. Ever since you returned from Africa, you've shut me out.
If I've shut you out, Quintus, I've done it for your own good. You're a businessman, not a politician. You pose no real threat to my enemies. Why should you suffer my fate?
I'm your friend, Gaius.
You were Tiberius's friend too, yet you never raised a finger to help him, or Blossius for that matter.
Quintus drew a sharp breath. Desperation brought out a petty side of Gaius.
When Fortuna favoured you, I enjoyed your friendship. Fortuna may have turned her back on you, but I never will.
Then come with me now, to the Forum. There's to be a protest against the motion to abandon Junonia.
The day was hot and oppressively humid, with thunder in the air. As Gaius and his entourage approached the Senate house, they encountered a tall, angular man carrying a shallow bowl. This was Quintus Antilius, a secretary to the consul Opimius, carrying the goat entrails from the morning's sacrifice. As he passed, Antilius smirked at Gaius and his followers.
Get out of my way, street trash. Make way for a decent citizen.
The insult pricked at the outrage Quintus normally held in check.
Who do you dare call trash?
This piece of dung.
Antilius gestured at Gaius with the bowl. Entrails sloshed out and spattered Gaius's toga. Antilius shrieked with laughter. Without thinking, acting purely on impulse, Quintus sprang forward. He plunged his metal stylus into Antilius's chest. Men gasped. Antilius clutched the stylus, trying to pull it from his ribs, but the polished metal was too slippery with blood. He convulsed and fell backward, cracking his head on a paving stone. Lucius Opimius, the leader of the Optimates faction and current consul for the year 121, rushed out of the Senate and yelled,
"Murderer! You've killed a servant of the Senate while he was carrying out a sacred duty."
The man threw bloody entrails on a tribune of the plebs.
You're not a tribune any longer. You're just a madman and a murderer.
A flash of lightning illuminated the scene. A deafening crack of thunder followed. And the sky opened. Hard rain pelted the crowd, scattering the rioters. But the fate of the Gracchi was sealed. The next day, Quintus did something he never did before. He wore his family fascinum, a gold talisman to ward off evil. The atmosphere in Rome was one of hysterical dread. In the Forum, a crowd mourned Antilius. In the Subura, Gaius's house was a fortress of desperation.
Lucius Opimius has passed the ultimate decree of the Senate. This is truly unprecedented territory for Rome. It allows the consuls to take all necessary measures to protect the state. In other words, they are empowered to kill any citizen on the spot without a trial. They're opening Pandora's box, Quintus.
Gaius's glib tone suddenly gave way. His voice cracked.
What's to become of our beloved republic? All of you, gather your weapons. I'm not going to wait for them to attack me in my home. I shall go to the Forum and say a prayer before the statue of my father.
Upon hearing this, Gaius's wife, Licinia, came running and clutched his toga.
No, husband. You're safe in this house. Your followers can protect you here.
My fate is in the hands of the gods now, my love.
If you must go, do so unarmed. If the followers of Opimius see you with armed men, there will surely be violence, and they will blame you for it.
I'd rather die in battle than like a sheep offered for sacrifice.
Gaius flashed a crooked smile.
Gaius, this is no joke. The same men who killed Tiberius are determined to murder you as well.
As long as I draw breath, I am still a free citizen of Rome. I will not be a prisoner in my own home.
As Gaius moved toward the door, Licinia dissolved into sobs, but the party exited anyway. As they entered the Forum, the vast throngs who had once promised to defend Gaius seemed to have melted away. Before the statue of his father, Gaius paused for a long time. Quintus was to his right, and his slave Philocrates to his left. Gaius gazed up at the face of the elder Tiberius.
My grandfather cast a long shadow, Quintus. Men know me as the grandson of Scipio Africanus, not the son of Tiberius Gracchus, but my father was also a great Roman. His victories in Spain established a peace that lasted 25 years. His embassies to Asia made him the confidant of kings. He was twice elected consul, twice awarded triumphs, and served as censor. My brother would have been as great if he had lived. I had hoped that I might...
You're going to surpass all of them, my friend.
The greatness of Rome was built on shared sacrifice. You know, 30% of the Senate was wiped out at the Battle of Cannae. My own grandfather, the great Africanus, was only 19 when he fought there, though he managed to survive. Do you...
Gaius cut off the sentence when he heard a raging mob headed his way from the direction of the Senate House. Armed men appeared in the distance, vastly outnumbering his own entourage.
We must return to your home, Gaius. We don't have the men.
I can already hear the fighting in that direction, Quintus. There's no going back. I will make my stand here. This is where I fall.
Men from the party began to scatter in every direction upon hearing this. Gaius's remaining followers looked to him for orders. After a while, he said,
Quintus, Philocrates, all of you, follow me.
They soon came upon the temple of Diana. Gaius ran into the temple. The handful of supporters who followed watched him fall to his knees before the statue of the goddess.
Queen of the hunt, daughter of Jupiter, sister of Apollo, accept this sacrifice.
He placed the pommel of his sword on the floor and pointed the blade toward his chest. Before he could fall on it, Quintus snatched the sword from him and handed it to Philocrates. Gaius wept. He beat his fists against the floor.
Ungrateful, treacherous Romans, I put a curse on you. I pointed the way to freedom, and you turned against me. I risked everything for you, and now you abandon me. Be slaves forever, then, to the murderers in the Senate.
Quintus was struck dumb by this act by his friend. Gaius had always been a courageous man, a fighter. Now he seemed to determine to take his own life, without even a struggle. Quintus decided he couldn't judge Gaius, as he knew in his heart that his friend was always trying to do the right thing.
Gaius, they're coming. We have to go.
The party ran into the street, and the pursuit resumed. They ran through the winding streets of the Aventine, along salt warehouses along the Tiber, and through the bustling markets of the Forum Boreum. Seeing them run by, some shouted encouragement, others pelted them with radishes and turnips. But after all the Gracchi had sacrificed for the people, nobody was willing to lend a helping hand. As the party reached the bridge across the Tiber, some of the men stopped and turned around, determined to make their stand there. They begged Gaius to keep running and get away. Gaius, his slave Philocrates, and Quintus made it to the west bank of the Tiber. The three men got off the road and headed into the foliage, hoping to disappear. A narrow pathway led them to a stand of tall trees. The soft earth seemed to swallow the sound of their footsteps. Amid the leafy shadows, a beam of sunlight fell upon a stone altar in a small clearing.
What place is this?
The Grove of the Furies, Tisiphone, Megaera, and Alecto, the vengeful sisters who punish sinful mortals with madness. Only black sheep can be sacrificed to them. Do you see their images on the altar? They carry whips and torches. Their hair is made of snakes. They're older than Jupiter. They were born of the blood that was spilled when Cronus the Titan castrated his father Uranus, born of a crime of a son against his father. Yet I've always honored my father and my grandfather. Why have the Furies led me here?
Gaius dropped to his knees before the altar. He could hear the approaching pursuers. They would be here any second.
Philocrates, do you have my sword?
Master, I beg you.
Put an end to me, Philocrates. At the temple of Diana, I lost my nerve. I let them stop me. Do it for me, Philocrates. Do it now.
Master, I can't bear to do it.
I command you to do it.
Weeping, the young slave turned the blade on himself, and he fell forward, his cries of anguish echoing throughout the forest. The pursuers were closing in now. Gaius knelt over the boy, then pulled the sword from his chest. He looked up at Quintus.
This is what the Furies want. You brought about this crisis when you slew Antilius. Now you must end it. Would you allow me to be torn to pieces by my enemies?
Quintus hesitantly took the sword. He couldn't look Gaius in the eye. He was still racked with guilt over the death of Tiberius, and now he was being forced to take the life of Gaius.
I was a coward when Tiberius fell. I watched from the shadows while they broke his body on the stones. I won't let them do the same to you, Gaius. I will carry this burden for you and for Tiberius. Give him my regards."
He circled Gaius, knelt behind him, and clutched him tightly with one arm. He raised the blade. With his last breath, Gaius hissed a curse.
"Let them be slaves of the Senate forever."
Quintus drew the blade over the neck of Gaius. Blood flowed warm and wet over his arm. He dropped the sword and hid in the shadows just as the pursuers entered the clearing.
"Dead already. The coward cheated us. No matter. The bounty for the head of Gaius Gracchus is just as good if he's cold. I claim it."
The man raised his sword and hacked at Gaius's neck until the head came free. He lifted it by the hair, whooping with triumph, spattering the altar with gore. In the days that followed, Rome was a killing field. Under the ultimate decree, 3,000 Roman citizens were hunted through the streets and put to death without trial. Their bodies were denied burial and cast into the Tiber, the same river that had claimed Tiberius 12 years before. Remarkably, the name of Quintus Sempronius never appeared on the official lists of the condemned. Whether his insignificance as a man of business shielded him, or Opimius simply grew tired of the slaughter, no one can say. Quintus returned to his work, building the stone roads that would outlast the Republic. He never spoke of politics again. But every night, before he slept, he touched the gold fascinum at his neck and whispered a prayer for the 2 brothers who he had sworn to protect. For Cornelia, the mother of the Gracchi, the world became a place of quiet, dignified exile. She moved to a villa at Misenum, where she lived surrounded by Greek scholars and the memories of her sons. When visitors spoke of her losses with pity, she would only straighten her back and say, "I shall never be called unhappy, for I am the woman who gave birth to the brothers Gracchi." She understood what the Senate did not, that her sons had ceased to be men and had become ideas. People remembered their story and raised statues in their honor in the years to come. Their movement was crushed, but the names of Tiberius and Gaius became the twin ghosts of the Roman imagination. To the Senate, they were the architects of chaos. To the people, they were the martyred champions of a stolen freedom. They had shown Rome that the law was a thin veil, and that beneath it lay only the raw power of the mob and the blade. The Republic would endure for another century, but it would do so in a fever. The Gracchi had broken the seal on political murder. From this moment on, every orator's speech and every soldier's march would be an echo of the blood spilled in the grove of the Furies. The brothers were gone, but the metaphorical Rubicon had already been crossed.